thank you so much for coming down and speaking with us today. I'd like to start off by asking you a few questions. And the first question is, how long have you been a wedding officiant for?
I am presently now into my 9th year.
So tell us now, what makes your ceremony so different?
I do all my ceremonies with a dash of humor. And I think usually at weddings, when people get together, two sides of the family, there's a lot of sometimes tension. So I like to have a lot of fun. I like to add some humor in to break the ice, just to kind of make people feel good.
So how do the brides like the humor?
They love it. The brides and grooms love the humor because I get a lot of feedback from that, saying, Phil, we really appreciate, especially for mostly the grooms, because a lot of times it's the grooms that are very nervous. You know, do I have to say a lot with my vows? And I said, don't worry about it. Listen, you just relax. I'm going to make you feel very comfortable.
Now, do you perform religious or civil ceremonies?
I do both. My goal is with the brides and the grooms, what I tell them and what's on my website, is my goal is to make their day the best of the best. So if they want religious, I do religious. If they want civil, I will do civil.
And what about the differences between the two of those?
Well, the civil is basically what's on my website. There's no religious, anything religious mentioned as far as traditions. Basically with religious ceremonies, they're mostly either their parents or their grandmother or somebody was very strict with their religion and they want something implemented in the wedding vows somewhere in the ceremony. So what I do is I let them know that we could have from the Bible, the Corinthians, the love chapter.
Do you conduct interfaith ceremonies too? Yes,
I do. Interfaith, I do a lot of them. I do a lot of interfaith ceremonies. I personally feel that if a couple wants to get married, if one is Jewish and one is Protestant, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be married.
So Phil, how far in advance should a couple plan to meet with you before their wedding?
I would say the best thing to do is at least 6 months in advance.
Now when a bride and groom meet with you, what things do you discuss with them?
I go over, first of all, I tell them about me. I let them know how long I've been an officiant, which is, I'm in my 9th year. I let them know that I am legally registered through the city of New York. I tell them all about my ceremonies, what their options are. I tell them I've got, this ceremony, that ceremony, and I tell them if you contract me to officiate your wedding, I work for you, you're my boss.
Phil, tell us about some of your most memorable wedding ceremonies.
I got a call, I think it was a week before the actual wedding. The mother called me very irate and called me up and said, the wedding is canceled. And then the bride called me weeping and crying and saying, Reverend Phil, I don't know what happened. We had an argument and now I don't know what to do. And she says, can you come to my house and marry us? And she says, what would you charge? So I gave her my normal fee. And she says, well, we really can't afford it because our parents were going to pay for the wedding. And she says, is there anything you can do? I says, well, how much can you afford? She says, I'm not sure. I got to talk to my husband. Look, forget about it. I says, I tell you what. I says, I'll do it for free. I says, because I felt so bad that she wasn't getting married. And she says, oh, that's great. I says, okay. I says, when would you like to get married? She says, can you come over tonight? And it turned out to be beautiful.
So tell us a story about the marquee wedding.
The day of the wedding, New Year's Eve morning, she calls me weeping and crying. Reverend Phil, please, can you help me? I says, what happened? She says, I found out my uncle or whoever he was is not registered with the city of New York, and therefore he cannot perform the service. It won't be legal. So she says, can you still do the wedding? I says, I'm sorry, I'm booked for that time slot now. She says, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. I says, I will take the train into Madison Square Garden, into Penn Station. I says, I will meet you there. And that's what we did. She came, her husband came, her mother came, and somebody else came. And I married them underneath the marquee of Madison Square Garden. I says, now here's my wedding ceremonies. You can take them, go to the restaurant. Your uncle can perform the service because now you're already married. So I married them under the marquee, got back on the Long Island Railroad, came back out here, and did my wedding at night.
So is there any type of wedding you haven't done?
I haven't done one falling out of a plane yet. I've done them on sailboats, yachts, backyards, front yards, basements, under the marquee, storefronts, just about any beaches, boardwalks.
So Phil, is there anything else a bride and groom should know about you and your wedding ceremonies?
Yeah, first of all, I'm in my 9th year, as I said, and I have now become one of the house ministers for the Mediterranean Manor, the Fox Hollow, the Watermill, and the Westbury Manor, because I think one of the things that I do most of all is I assure the bride and groom that I am going to be there at least a half hour to an hour early to go through everything all over again. I also, as much as I can, go to the wedding rehearsals and make sure everything is being done correctly.
Well, Phil, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you so much for meeting with us, and we wish you all the best.
My pleasure. I thank you, and I just want to say it's been a pleasure advertising with LI Weddings. I think if anybody's listening out there and they do not advertise on LI Weddings, good thing to do.